Welcome to Growth Studio by OpenGrowth, where we explore strategies, challenges, and successes of entrepreneurs.
Welcome to Growth Studio, where we spotlight the entrepreneurial journeys of accomplished business leaders from diverse industries through insightful conversation and through thought leadership. We delve into the strategies, challenges, and successes that have defined their careers. Growth Studio aims to inspire and equip entrepreneurs and leaders with actionable lessons, shares the story of successful business leaders, offering insight into how they scaled companies and drove innovation. Today, we are honored to have Shelley Archambault, a trailblazing business executive and former CEO of Matrix Stream. Shelley's remarkable career spanning over 30 years includes leadership roles at IBM, Blockbuster, and Verizon. Join us as we delve into her strategies, challenges, and successes, offering invaluable insights into how she scaled companies and drove innovations. Welcome, Shelley. Welcome to
Oh,
Open Studio.
well, thank you so much. I've been looking forward to it.
Thank you. Can you share a defining moment in your entrepreneurial journey that significantly shaped your leadership style?
Oh, goodness. I would tell you during my journey, probably the biggest one was just realizing how important it is to ensure clear communications and to inspire people while you're doing it, right? So, the story I will tell is when I took over a very struggling organization called Zaplet. Zaplet was very challenged. They had raised a lot of money. They had had high-profile investors. They were a very hot company. And then they ran into some hard times because the market had crashed. And so the whole external dynamic changed, and suddenly they weren't selling new customers, and they weren't the darling, and they were losing lots of money. And I was brought in to be CEO. And so you walk in and you realize, people are pretty demoralized. And they're not sure the company's going to make it. There's a lot of concern and angst, the whole bit. And so here I'm walking in as the new leader. So how do I galvanize people, recognize the hard work that they've done, right, to make them feel good about that, but at the same time, help them understand that we've got a lot of work ahead of us because we've really got to remake ourselves despite all they've done. And as a leader, it's just important that you're able to give people a picture of where they need to go while acknowledging where it is that they've come from. And so for them, walking in, I was able to really create a story and an image around what transpired. And what I told them was, listen, as an organization, you've built an incredible product, right? I mean, lots of money, time, effort. It's innovative. It's new. Nothing like it on the marketplace. You guys should be so, so proud of yourselves. But almost like a new parent, what you've done is you've fallen in love with your product. When a new parent has a baby, nobody can tell them their baby is ugly or that anything's wrong with their baby, right? Because no, their baby's perfect because it's their baby. They created the baby. It's like, oh, no, just look at her when she gurgles. Isn't she cute? Or see her in the right light, right? Or the whole bit. I said, well, what happens is when you fall in love with your product, you can't hear all the words that are coming to tell you that you might have a challenge with your product. You need to change your product. No. You just need to learn how to use it. Maybe let's just spend time understanding how it works, right? Maybe you haven't just, if we have all these excuses and these things that we do. So it's important that as an entrepreneurial company, we fall in love not with our product, but we fall in love with the market. Because when we fall in love with the market that we're targeting, we want to make sure that market has everything they need. I mean, we make sure our baby's never hungry, never thirsty, always clean, right? Always glove, hug. Well, we want to treat our customers that way. We want to make sure that we anticipate their needs, right? Don't just wait for them to cry, right? We want to make sure that we understand. So when you do that, now your whole company can be truly focused, right? And stay in step with your customers. So that was the story that I used to say, listen, you did a great job. You've created this. Wonderful. But we've got to remember, we created this product for the market. So let's make sure that we understand what their needs are and follow them.
That's amazing. And that's the true leadership style you have. So in your book, Unapologetically Ambitious, you discuss the importance of taking risks. can you share a time when taking a calculated risk led to significant growth?
Oh my gosh. At the end of the day, a leader's job, honestly, is to take risks. You can't enter a new market. You can't launch a new product. You can't even hire somebody without taking a risk. So that's why taking risks is so important, because if you're not taking risks, there's no way you can grow. Full stop. You can't. You just can't. So throughout my career, it was risk taking. Risk taking was, first of all, just taking that job at Zaplet. I mean, this was a company that was losing money, right? People are concerned. I mean, why would I take that job? And it's still at 50, it's now 20 years later, right? 20 plus years later, MetricStream is still indeed out there in the marketplace. I would tell you, even deciding to move into the entrepreneurial space is a risk. It was a risk when we changed the whole focus of the company when I first got there. I mean, literally, Akriti, it's like every day you are taking risks. And the key is not to take just every risk, right? It's not just, oh, here's a risk, let me just take it. You're not going to go jump off bridges, right? But you want to make sure that when you're getting ready to take a risk, you ask yourself, okay, what is likely to happen? What's the best that could happen? What's the worst that can happen? So dimensionalize it. And then as you look at what's what's likely to happen, that's what you want to be kind of in the square spot, right? Where you are. What's the best that could happen? Well, what can you do to actually improve the odds to make that happen? And then when you look at what's the worst that can happen, what are the mitigating steps you can take to actually reduce the odds that that will happen? And then you take the risk. So it's actually a really simple set of steps. And if the likely outcome is terrible, then you've got to look to say, well, gosh, if the likely outcome is terrible, then how much better is the upside, right? Because it's got to be worth the odds are against you. So when you take risks where odds are against you, you have to realize that, okay, some of them are absolutely not going to work out. And so what will that mean? It doesn't mean you never take those risks, because the reward might absolutely outlie it. And there might be things that you can do to improve those odds. But understand the level of risk you're taking, the impact, not just on the company or the organization, the impact on individuals, the impact on market shareholders, right? All of those things. That's how to think about risk taking.
Okay, so basically it depends on the risk-taking appetite a company has. Is it so?
Exactly. And making sure that you've actually thought through what are mitigating steps to reduce the likelihood of failure, but also to increase the likelihood of even a better outcome.
Absolutely. So what are some biggest challenges companies face when transitioning from a startup to a mid and further to a large scale operation?
A bunch. So one, many times the leaders you have, as you start to transition and you get bigger and bigger, they're in the biggest jobs they've ever had, which means they're seeing things they've never seen before. Well, it's really hard if the entire organization are facing things that they've never seen before. So one of the things that you typically need to do when you're actually getting to the point where scaling is you need to bring some new leadership experiences to the table, so that you have a mix of people who can bring experience and people who actually understand the business for which you come and the marketplace, right, et cetera. But you want that mix. So one is leadership. You've got to make sure you're evolving leadership. Two, processes. Processes aren't important or as important when you're small, because literally you handle things, you can reach, you can talk, you can pull out, you can cover up for the lack of process. Once you start to get scale, you cannot cover up for lack of process, because then everything that happens interrupts everyone else. And as a result, you just can't scale, you can't grow, you can't meet the requirements. So you have to spend time putting in place processes to enable you to be more effective, more efficient. It really comes down to how do you scale while improving efficiency? Because that's what shareholders want. I mean, it doesn't help me if I make $1 million or if I make $10 million, if I'm still generating the same amount of profit, right? Because I was never figured out how to improve my efficiency. That doesn't work. The whole idea is you want to improve your efficiency as you're going through so that you can continue to improve, right, the return on shareholders as you grow.
Okay, that's insightful. So, for startups aiming to stay competitive, what advice do you have on leveraging fractional expertise and staying ahead in the market?
Yeah, so that's a really good one. As you're building an organization, you can't afford to have full-time resources do everything that you are required that you need to do. You just can't. So one of the best things that you can do is to figure out, all right, what resources do I absolutely need to invest in on a full-time basis? And what skills and expertise can I use fractionally? Because odds are, I'll make it up. Oh, actually, I don't have to make it up. When we were building MetricStream, for instance, early on, we couldn't afford a full-time like chief marketing officer, right? That's not where we were. So we actually had a part-time marketing expert, right, that we brought on board, and he provided the marketing expertise we needed. And the beauty was he had a lot more experience than we'd ever be able to hire. He worked with multiple companies, so it kept him very fresh, right, and tied into the market, what it needs, right, the latest approaches, things like that. So we got the best of both worlds. For less money, we actually got better resource than if we tried to hire somebody internal. So the best way to start to build a business is actually by using fractional, because then as you have ebbs and flows, if you have to, you can scale up or you can scale down, right?
Absolutely.
Whereas when you have full-time employees, that's much harder to do. And many times you can get people who actually have more expertise than you could probably afford if you were to hire full-time. So use of fractional resources is actually very helpful in building a company.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is where OpenGrowth is offering a wide range of fractional executive in the area of growth and AI. So, and one more point I would like to ask you that do you think that we'll get a different perspective from hiring a fractional executive for a few hours?
I think one of the things that will absolutely happen is when you bring in a fractional expert to help you with any like AI, et cetera, what'll happen is they'll also bring the experience they have of working with other companies, working perhaps with different platforms, right, or technologies. So yes, you get as I said, you get to bring in typically better, broader skills than you'd actually be able to hire. And sometimes it's helpful to have a fractional expert in different areas because by definition, they will continue to stay in the marketplace. Whereas when you hire somebody, they now become steeped in your space, which is great, but it's always nice to have those external views as well.
Absolutely. So, as AI evolves rapidly, how do you foresee fractional expertise helping AI-driven innovation, especially from platforms like OpenGrowth?
So I think overall, hiring people who are experts in AI and different aspects of AI, because this is evolving so fast, especially for growing companies, it's hard to actually hire and retain experts in this space. So by having fractional, you get to bring in the help when you need it, as you need it. And they'll bring with them the experience that they've built to be able to actually provide you typically with even better perspectives than if you hired somebody just, full-time and inside. So in innovative spaces, it's even more helpful, I think, to hire people who are fractional or part-time because of the benefits that they can bring from the broad set of experience they have of working with so many different companies.
Okay. So, coming back to your experience, so looking back on your career, what lessons could startup founders learn from your leadership journey to avoid some common entrepreneurial pitfalls?
So number one, I talked about it up front, make sure you stay as close to your customers, their needs, their requirements, and figure out how to anticipate them as you possibly can. Number two, ensure that as you're building your team, that everyone in your organization understands what is the vision and the mission of the company. How is the company executing at that? Meaning, what's the strategy? And then understands how they fit into the strategy. And number three, make sure that people know that they're actually cared about. And when I say cared about, I mean that managers, leaders actually care about them as people versus as just a role that they are playing. That's how you help retain people. It's when people feel that you care about them and you actually demonstrate it. Odds are much higher that you'll actually be able to retain people because they feel part of what's happening versus just feel like they're playing a role that anybody could play. And I think the fourth thing I would say is cash, 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 cash. More companies go out of business because they run out of money than because they don't have the right product or they don't have the right market or they're not working hard enough or what. It's money. You manage the cash.
Absolutely, that is the foremost important thing. So, how do you prepare for your public appearances and ensure your message resonate with the broader audience, from business leaders to general public?
Yeah, so before any public speaking, make sure you understand who your target audience is and shape your message for that audience because it's different. If you're presenting in front of a set of financial investors, that's one thing. If you're presenting in front of prospective customers, that's another. They're going to have two different areas that they're interested in. So the key is understanding who is your audience, tailoring your message to the audience, and ensuring that you deliver it in a way that's clear, not repetitive, interesting, right, and engaging.
Okay, that's insightful. I'll try to practice that. Okay, I would definitely like to know more about your mentorship journey.
In terms of mentors that I've had or mentorship that I gave, tell me what you mean by mentorship journey.
So you give mentorship to a lot of people, and people approach you for mentoring sessions. So I would like to know more about your journey.
Okay, from that standpoint. So yes, I've been fortunate that I've had a lot of mentors throughout my career. So when people approach me with regards to mentorship, I definitely try, but I'll be candid with you, Akriti. What I've learned is there are more people out there that want and need mentoring than I can possibly provide mentoring to. So one of the things that I've done is I actually launched an initiative called Ignite Ambition to provide mentoring advice and perspective at scale, because I hate telling people no. I hate it when they come and say, oh, can you mentor me? And I have to say, oh, I just don't have bandwidth, but I want to give them something. And so I've launched Ignite Ambition as a place to get mentoring advice and perspective at scale that I'm behind. And that way I don't have to say no. I could just say, ooh, I can't do one-on-one, but you can join Ignite Ambition. And here you can learn with a group of other people, right? Around what does it take and how you can overcome different challenges and hurdles that you face in your career so that you can achieve your aspirations.
Basically, community learning will definitely help people to grow.
Indeed, indeed.
So coming back to the fractional part, so what should startups look for when selecting fractional experts, and how can they ensure a good fit?
So first you need to look for, as you're interviewing, people who you think will fit into the culture of the organization. Because if they're not going to fit into the culture of the organization, then people aren't going to learn from them. And then you've wasted half the value, right? You want people to actually learn and engage from them. So that's number one. Two, you want to look at, have they been successful in their past engagements? So it's all about the reference checks, right? To understand, have they demonstrated, right, that they can do what they say that they can do, which is the other thing that's important. And three, when you're hiring a fractional exec, you need to ensure that there's clarity around what you expect from them, what success looks like, so that at the end of the term, whatever that is, you both know, right, what you were expecting. It's interesting, but there are many times, Akriti, believe it or not, people go out and they hire people, part-time, bring them in, but they actually aren't clear what they expected from them. And so as a result, it may not be successful, because if I don't know what I need to do to be successful, then odds are I'm probably not going to be. So make sure there's clarity on expectations.
Okay, and apart from that, there are multiple peoples and people on the platform that they are, for example, let's say CMOs. So how can, as a startup founder, I can understand that, okay, this person is a perfect fit and will be able to contribute or take my company to growth in terms of marketing?
So you want to make sure that they have the kind of experience you're looking for. What is your business? If your business is a business to business organization, you want to make sure that they actually have experience in business to business. There's a lot of different kind of marketing. And also, what are you looking for? Are you looking for help with lead generation? Are you looking for help with branding? Are you trying to do product positioning? So understand what it is that your focus is on when you're bringing somebody on board so that you're matching the right skill sets to the right need. Just because someone's been a CMO doesn't mean that they will have the knowledge that they need to make your company successful.
Absolutely. And thank you for the insight, Shelley. So it was nice talking to you on Growth Studio. As I told you that open growth startups will definitely benefit from your expertise and from your insights on Growth Studio. Thank you for your time here, Shelley.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe to Open Growth for more insights from industry-leading entrepreneurs at Growth Studio.